NutriCast.
There's a change happening in the way we live, the way we work, the way we spend our money and make our decisions. We are evolving to be more conscious in our actions in a way that serves the world and makes it a better place. Welcome to the Ethical Evolution. The Ethical Evolution podcast is brought to you by Ethical Change Agency. I'm Bindi, I'm the founder, and my mission is to help ethical entrepreneurs and holistic healers to find their voice through spiritual coaching and podcasting. I'm honoured to bring you the stories of those who create change through healing, kindness, innovation, purpose, and spirit. Understanding that to create collective change, we need to be the change. It all begins with us. Three decades ago, Carrie Schell began her career as a midwife. Over the years, her role in the health and wellness space has evolved, with graduate school, becoming a yoga instructor, and as a director of health and wellness, creating innovative programs at an addiction centre, and presently as a speaker and author. Carrie's latest book is full of warmth, humour and wisdom to help women who are grey drinkers, women who aren't alcoholics but have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, to create wellness in their lives. This conversation with Carrie may be eye-opening for many, highlighting our habits and how we can potentially make healthier choices moving forward and take greater care of ourselves with kindness and honesty. Welcome, Carrie, to the Ethical Evolution.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm a little bit excited to chat to you. You're our first guest from Costa Rica, of all places. So thank you for joining us today. Now, for those who have not heard of you, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Carrie Schell, and as you mentioned, I am living here in Costa Rica. My whole life has been devoted to health and wellness, and from the early years, I was practicing midwife for a couple decades, and through the years, my career changed. I've been a yoga instructor, an addiction specialist, speaker, author, and right now my passion is with women and grey drinking and just really educating women and trying to help women
And I
have
think
an issue with grey drinking, yes.
Yes, and I think that's what made me sort of, catch my eye with you was the term grey drinking. I'd never heard of it before. Do you want to explain to us who've never heard of it, how prevalent it is and exactly what it is?
So like you, I had never heard of the term grey drinking. And even though I had spent years as a director at an addiction center, when I heard the expression grey drinking, I really had to give pause. And so for those of you who don't know, grey drinking are for people who may question if they need to stop drinking, or if you ever think, you know what, maybe I need to cut back a bit, you may be a grey drinker. So you don't identify as an alcoholic, but you're certainly questioning your relationship with alcohol. And for me, that's who I am. I am a grey drinker, and so the term really resonates.
Yeah, I think I'm in that same camp with you, to be honest with you. When I read the definition that you have on your website, I was like, hello. And yeah, there's so many of us, particularly women who are in their 40s, 50s, even into the 60s, where it's just part of our every day, every week.
I think you're right. And, I don't think the pandemic has helped at all. In fact, women report a 41% increase in heavy drinking, and that's 5 drinks or more at one time. So you're right. We're not alone.
And, at our age, drinking is not good for us, particularly hormonally and all of the things it can do to us, right?
Exactly. And it's not just women our age. A lot of young women, too, are drinking daily. And, it's quite common. And it's part of our culture. When you get home at night, you open a bottle of wine or you have a beer or two. Then you might have one with dinner and then maybe one before bed. So it just creeps up. You're thinking, okay, it's been over 7 hours, but then you look back and that bottle of wine's empty.
Yeah.
So, and it becomes a habit for us. It becomes a routine that we need and enjoy. And it's really challenging to develop new patterns there.
And, as someone who's worked in, addiction centres and things like that, I mean, when you look at the definition of an alcoholic, most of us were like, yeah, no, we're not. We're not an alcoholic. Like we can do without it, But there comes a time where we keep coming back to it, don't we?
Exactly. So we may think we can do without it, but it's pretty challenging because I think a lot of times for those of us who are great drinkers, we do think throughout the course of our day, oh, do I have a bottle of wine at home chilling, or do I need to pop around to the market to get one? So we may not hit rock bottom or identify as an alcoholic, but we're getting those tendencies to want and crave and need alcohol throughout the course of our day.
And I mean, I don't know where you are, but here in Australia, a common term, particularly, in our demographic, is wine time. End of the day,
Yes.
wine time, and it's just part of our culture and our everyday, as you say. So, how do you work with women to sort of break that cycle of that habit?
Right. It's very challenging because, as you said, wine time. It is so ingrained in our culture and what we do. We have dinner and we have wine and drinks. We're going to meet friends for lunch. We have wine. I'm just using wine as an example. We have whatever the drink of choice is. And so what makes it challenging is that if I were to say to you, listen, I heard this podcast. I think I might need to cut back or drink. Your friends would say, no, you don't. You're fine. Look, like we're all okay, because a lot of us are in that category where we've left the normal healthy. And as you say, we could skip it for a few days and not even notice, to where, no, it would be hard for me not to have a drink that day. And although we don't hit rock bottom, we do need to change our behaviors. And so to answer your question, that's where we start. And we start with really needing to stop drinking for about 10 days to give us a few things. One, it shows us that we can, that even though it's really challenging, we can actually do it. The second thing it does, it allows us clarity. We've stepped back and we see we can do it. And in 10 days, you actually start to feel a little different. And with that clarity and feeling differently, both emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, we can then make an informed decision.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually did that last year. I went for 6 weeks. And I called them dry days. I actually used an app, and it counted the days, and it calculated how much money you saved, and how many drinks you saved, and how many calories you saved at the same time. And during that time, like just looking at those benefits, just those couple benefits alone, by just stopping drinking on a regular basis, financially, the benefits are huge, particularly where we are, and things are quite expensive. And then, from your physical transformation, I think I lost a few kilos just by not drinking alone. And I was like, this is pretty good. And I felt better. I had more energy. I felt more switched on, less brain fog. There was just these simple benefits by just cutting out that one thing.
That's right. And so can I ask, are you drinking now?
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon. And so is your drinking the same as it was before?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And listen, no judgment whatsoever. It's just interesting. Aren't we amazing species where we do something for 6 weeks, we feel better. We're losing weight at that brain fog, right? You lose that brain fog. You might not be hungover in the morning, but you just have that little bit of fog. And, the saving of the money, we know all these benefits. And yet when we've reached that goal of 6 weeks, it's like, I'm stopping to get that bottle of wine tonight. And it's really cause for us to stop and pause. So what I like to do with women is, because we're not alcoholics per se, where it's not a clinical disease, where with alcoholics, you would clearly say, no, it's commonly held that no, you won't be going back to drinking. But with gray drinking, this is new territory. This is a new term. This is a new awareness. We're a new group that we're identifying. So there are no longitudinal studies. We're all in this together. So what I would like to see is us changing our behavior slowly. I'm not going to tell women, listen, you can't drink again, because clinically, I think from what I know from the research and data is that with some cognitive behavioral therapy and other practices, that we could learn to drink more mindfully. And by that, I mean, we could have more control over our drinking. We could be comfortable with not having it every night. Or maybe we have one glass of wine a night. So that's what I like to work with women to do.
And the other thing that I've recently learnt is actually understanding those triggers as well. Is like, okay, when I do this, what are the triggers, and what's the pattern here? And so I try to recognise that and be mindful of that and acknowledge it and go, okay, well, when this happens, you tend to go and get a glass of wine. So, you know, is it that you have a different coping mechanism instead of, you know, wine or whatever, and actually being more mindful, as you say, doesn't mean you don't drink at all, just thinking about your consumption and how often it is and why you're doing it.
That's right. And remembering, and what I love is just it's so cliche, but day by day, because you may have had a rough day and you may really want to have that drink that night. But if you don't, you go to bed realizing, you know what, I got through that without having that drink, and you wake up feeling better. And so when we keep that in mind, it really helps us through those next 24 hours. And I love how you mentioned the triggers. It's so important because alcohol is really insidious. Because I love to call it our frenemy. It is one thing you can always count on. It's there when I'm feeling really good. It's there when I've had a shitty day. It's there when I'm just, feeling maybe depressed and low, or anxious and stressed, or I just want to relax. So it's there for every occasion faithfully. It will always be there. And so it's really challenging to break those patterns. But I think really touch that mindful behavior of acknowledge get triggered at any time. I can look for it for everything. For some people, it might not be the case.
So, I mean, how long have you been working with people on grey drinking, and what kind of change are you seeing already?
Right. So grey drinking, my work in grey drinking has only been going on for about a year now. And because I was really watching how my alcohol consumption was increasing through COVID. And I thought, I can't be alone. And sure enough, you'd see in media reports, alcohol consumption, the alcohol stores are profiting and the sales are going up. And just sitting back and looking also at my friendship groups and really thinking, wow, when I'm with these friends, really we talk and we have meaningful conversation, but there always has to be alcohol present. When I heard the term grey drinking, I thought I really need to do work here. So for about a year, I've been doing the work, and the work, it's having an impact. It really is. Now, because it's only been a year, I can't tell you what it's going to look 5-10 years down the road for women. That's something we're trying to capture now. But the women I've been working with, we have been having success in them feeling that they have that control. They, as you say, some actually aren't drinking at all and they're feeling a lot better. And some are just more mindful drinkers and they are cutting back and they feel just so much better.
And I think there's that, I don't know, there's kind of this reward thought pattern that you have, when you don't drink, or that you drink more mindfully, and you're like, yeah, I nailed it, like you kind of have this, yeah, I did it kind of thing. And if you can keep that momentum going, that's where the change and the new habit forms, I think.
Right. And I don't know about you, but I have really started to observe I don't know what your type of personality, but type A women, I feel a lot of times can be great drinkers. You can juggle a lot of balls really successfully. You might be managing, you might be a mom and taking care of kids and the home, but you also have a job and you have a healthy relationship and you're that go-to person in your friendship group. And I feel that type A personalities, it's also that reward there too.
Yeah.
So it's a twofold thing. We reward ourselves by feeling very good about, I know for myself personally, what I have to-do lists. And if I get my to-do list done, and that would include, okay, I had a workout or a walk, I drank enough water, I did all my work things, my family things, what I wanted to accomplish, I'm rewarding myself now at the end of the day with some wine. So it's nice to see how you mentioned that we can transfer those rewards into healthy rewards for us that really benefit us far better.
Yeah. I try not to use the wine as the reward.
You know what? I can tell you, I was so bad at it. I would honestly, I'd be chugging a couple liters of wine at the end of the day. I told myself I couldn't have any wine unless I had flushed everything out of my body, and then I'd be corking some wine. I mean, what's the sense in it? It gets crazy. Yes.
Yeah, and like you say, we are crazy humans, aren't we? Because, we'll do something, we'll be so focused on our wellness and our health, and then we'll go and do that, and then we'll wonder what we've done. It's like, come on, wake up.
Why am I not losing that little bit of weight?
Yeah.
800 calories
Let me just have another wine and work it out. No.
And I think it's important that we're talking about this because it is hard socially, because you'll get a couple reactions. You will have people who are supportive in the sense that they'll say, listen, you are fine. Like, you don't drink too much because we're all drinking the same amount. So if they acknowledge that my drinking behaviors may be questionable, it turns that mirror to them, and then they'll have to question it. So it's really hard. So we need to start saying, you know what, it's okay. We're all like this. We're all struggling. It's been a hard go, but let's get back on track. So I think it's an important conversation that we're having. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. And, just going back to, COVID and, particularly through the peak of that, I can remember the news reports of when we were going into lockdowns that, the bottle shops had lineups out the front, whereas, the grocery stores didn't. So it's like, it really shows where our focus is in our coping mechanism.
It definitely is. And it's that sense of also that socialization piece where if you are a social person, it works twofold. If you're a social person, you're probably used to after work going out maybe for drinks or on the weekends with your dinners or whatever that looked like for you. And if you are a more introverted person, maybe that's how you coped as an introvert. You had to have your drink at home alone, and that's how you found your comfort. So twofold. And I totally get why those lines were long. But now we're coming out, and we need to make more sense of it, I think.
Yeah, and I remember at the peak of it, they actually put limitations on what people could buy because people were stockpiling because they didn't want to leave the house.
Yes.
Like, that's just...
And, getting back to our friendship groups and things. So people will either you'll have friends who may find it challenging to be with you if you're not drinking. And I don't know what your friends, if you can remember back to those 6 weeks, if you had a few friends who found it challenging, and if you weren't drinking, they found it very awkward, and others I bet were very supportive.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that time?
Yeah, and, this is where it was interesting to have an app tracking what was happening as well, because they had milestones in there if you went out, for drinks, but you weren't drinking.
Yes.
So I actually tested myself, and I went to an after-work event where it was at a bar, and even just ordering something that was not alcoholic was tricky. But I openly said, I'm not drinking. And so I just have like sparkling water or something like that. It looked like I was drinking vodka, but I wasn't. But nobody knew. But most of my friends were really supportive about it. And then others were like, are you okay? And I was just like, no, this is just a healthy choice I'm making for myself because, I realised enough was enough at the time. And, I thought I'm a smart human. And I shouldn't do dumb things, right? So
Right.
that was my kind of rationale for it. And so I thought, no, this is the challenge for me. And the initial challenge was 6 weeks, and I think I ended up doing it for like 3 months in the end. But
Wow.
yeah, so I just kept going. And then, so I'd say I will return back to that and hang on to that for as long as I can very, very soon. And because I did feel a lot better. So it's really being a smart human doing smart things.
And so one thing we do find when we go through these breaks that I like to bring awareness to is that we may find our reward somewhere else. And I don't know if it was like this for you, but maybe you went to sugar, or maybe you went to bread and whatever, or coffee. You'll find a substitute. So it's, again, trying to find balance of not depriving ourselves. I'm not saying don't have any sugar or any coffee, but we can't switch out things completely, because that's not going to help us either. So I love this idea of this app where it's that affirming all these little milestones, going out. But how funny is it? I know for me, when you go out and you don't have an alcoholic drink, and people will question you, like, why aren't you drinking? And,
like, are you pregnant?
You have to give an answer, as opposed to, well, I'm not asking you why you are drinking, but you have to almost give a defense to why you aren't, which gets awkward. So some people just find initially they have to back away from social situations to avoid that sort of pressure.
Yeah, initially I did that too, where I just was like, no, I don't feel like going out drinking, even though I'm not drinking, because it would put you in that space where you would want to. And then I was like, no, I'll just avoid it altogether in certain situations where I didn't feel I wanted to deal with it. So, yeah, I think, just trusting in yourself and giving yourself a chance, I think, is really important too. And having those new associations, if you do remove alcohol, having something else there that is still that little pleasure that satisfies you.
So 10 days is a good amount of time where you really start to lose those cravings, where it gets much easier. After 10 days, you'll still want and probably maybe romanticize it, but it gets much easier to go the day without it. And so I think it is a smart move sometimes initially, for depending on who you are as an individual, to really step back from those social things where you would find it too challenging. I mean, why put yourself in that situation where it's challenging enough to go without the alcohol than to be at a party or at a bar or somewhere where you're going to be just in the face of it. So those are good decisions.
And, one thing that I found that sort of, in our demographic changes our viewpoint sometimes and puts us into that unconscious space is the media. So you could be doing your Netflix binging or whatever you do, but they glorify alcohol all the time.
It's interesting you say that. I was just saying to my husband how I've noticed over the last few years that strong, dynamic women in media, in entertainment, when they're drinking now at a bar, they're always drinking hard liquor neat. They're not having a glass of wine. They're always having scotch or bourbon neat. And I just thought they're really targeting women to go deeper into hard alcohol. And I'm not sure why, but it's very evident. And I'm glad you pointed that out. It is hard.
Yeah. And like all of the major series that most people are watching on Netflix or whatever at the moment, I just can recall at least half a dozen that would, have alcohol in many of the scenes that, have people like us in it, monkey see, monkey do. So it was like, this actually is what triggers those unconscious patterns and behaviours for some people to go, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly. Well, and celebrities who are either endorsing or coming out with their own brands of alcohol,
Yeah.
especially tequilas. And you realize you're doing tequilas because if you're paleo or keto or anything like that, you can drink tequila. So it makes sense that that models and movie stars and actors are gravitating toward promoting and creating tequilas because that's probably the drink that they choose. And then now young people and every age are going to now be drinking tequila more often. So it's amazing how that marketing, or wines branded skinny drink, or there's some that are branded, lower calorie content. So you can have a guilty, there's less guilt in that pleasure. So it's all around us. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, well, they're doing niche marketing for that now. But, the one thing I did find through this non-drinking period is that non-alcoholic drinks have become a boomtown since COVID because, non-alcoholic beers, wines, spirits, the whole lot are now like a boom because people want it and they want to have the same kind of thing without having the alcohol.
That's right. I mean, people are realizing, boy, I can't be drinking half to a whole bottle of wine a night. So I need to find something else. And dry bars are opening. I know in New York City, a couple in California, dry bars are opening and they're thriving. So I think hopefully there'll be a space where they can commingle, where you can go out to a bar and it can be a vibrant social scene. And there'll be a place for people who don't want to drink, and you won't feel like you're a pariah or you're an outcast, or that people won't think you're as much fun. It'll just be a normal thing to have people who don't drink and great drinks for them available.
Yeah.
So hopefully even though it's quite a dichotomy that media is really pitching drinking to us and smoking again, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And the bars are opening up that are dry. So
yeah, and I actually
space for us.
I actually tried that at Christmas. I went out to a Christmas lunch, and the place that we went did mocktails, and they did a lot of non-alcoholic drinks. However, half of them were sold out. But it did give you that option if you didn't want to drink. And I was with women who were pregnant as well and didn't want to drink. So I thought, what a great idea to make it inclusive for everyone, and who wanted to be conscious about their drinking regardless of their situation. That's
right. And a point I'd like to bring up, just when you become more conscious of your drinking, is you're going to run the whole gamut of emotions. If you decide that you really want to do a 10-day reset, and if people want to do it, I'll give you some information. They can go to thegraydrinkingreset.com, and there's a free 10-day reset that will be available for them that they can follow along. But I even know when I decide to enter into a dry period, I'll have a date set. And for me, I'm a Monday person. I don't know about you, but I'm a Monday gal. If I'm going to give up sweets, I'll wait till Monday and I'll have some cake on the weekend, or drinking, I'll finish off that last bottle of wine I have before Monday, that kind of thing. So I know that I have even given myself days to start, and I can feel myself becoming anxious on Sunday. And I just want to let people know that that's normal, that you're going to go through fears and worries about not drinking. And it is so normal. So don't think you're alone out there when you're worried and wondering how you're going to do it. And you may even skip that day. You may even drink Monday because it's giving you such anxiety and worry that you'll have a drink Monday and you will start Tuesday. But don't think because you had the drink Monday that you can't do it. It's okay. But don't go a whole week. Just say, I'm going to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
So just realize there'll be lots of emotions.
And
the other thing I want to point out that if you have a partner and they're a great drinker too, or maybe they're a heavy drinker, maybe they're a little pushing the envelope behind the gray, you're really going to become aware of that. And you may become resentful You're going to have lots of things that come up. You may have worry. You may have resentment. You may be journaling, because I get people to journal.
Mm.
You may be journaling. Why the hell am I not, I only have 3 glasses a day. They're the ones who really should be stopping.
Mm.
And that's, again, it's okay to have those emotions and those realizations too. But I just encourage you to bring it all back to you. Okay, that may be true with them, but right now you just need to get in a healthy spot. You need to do this work right now.
Mm.
And then after some time, start those conversations with your partner. But for now, just, it's good that we have those awarenesses, but just do the work for yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, the other thing that I learnt was not to be so hard on yourself either. Like if you do have a drink and you don't actually meet the commitment you set for yourself, that's okay. Tomorrow's another day.
Exactly. And I like to encourage women that when you do have that day, when you do have the day that you have a drink or 2 or whatever it looks like for you, tomorrow is a new day. Don't be that Monday gal and say, okay, well, I blew it on Tuesday, so I'm going to blow it all week till next Monday. No, have a new approach. Say, you know what? Yeah, okay, I did that. How did you feel? Like, did you feel so great by having those drinks? Did it change your whole evening or afternoon that it was so worth it? You'll probably wake up thinking, you know what? I feel foggy again. I'm not, I was feeling better when I wasn't drinking. So start again fresh today. And I love how you say, don't be hard on yourself. That's so important.
Yeah, and I think, it's, for me, it's that association is like, well, and again, it comes back to decision making. Nobody puts that stuff in our mouth, right? We do it. It's our decision.
Exactly.
So it's about having values behind it and understanding that, okay, well, if I choose that drink, these are the consequences of that. Do you want to feel those or do you want the good ones? So weigh it up. And you have to really tune in to what you're feeling in either state. And if you can associate good with what you want to achieve, then you got a greater chance.
Well, that's, I love everything you're saying, because think today, how often do we take time to check in? How often do we take 5 minutes in the morning to just, okay, I'm going to have quiet time for 5 minutes, whatever that looks like for you. It could be doing nothing. Maybe it's a meditation or a guided meditation. Maybe there's some spiritual readings you like to do, journaling, whatever that looks like. But we rarely take the time to check in or stop and slow down. And rarely does it go beyond that, where we say, so what is the alcohol doing for me? Why am I going to the alcohol? Okay, I've had a hard day. I've run around a lot today, and I need that to allow me to decompress and slow down. Okay, well, if I take that out, what else can I do? Oh, a walk. I could go for a beautiful walk right now for 20 minutes and come back and feel even more refreshed and decompressed. But we don't take that time to assess and give ourselves other options. So it becomes challenging, and it becomes just such a pattern for us.
Absolutely, and probably one of the things that you do, Carrie, is yoga, to have that movement of the body and move those things through instead of sitting with them as well. No doubt that helps the mindset.
Yes, it does. Physical activity. So when I was doing graduate school, work on PhD, doing research on addiction, yoga, meditation, and physical activity, research really demonstrates that it's more effective in dealing with addiction and alcoholism than traditional therapies and medication. So we're working towards that. My first book and program was all about that, about addiction and integrating yoga, meditation, and physical activity into your day. And it's hard, but we find time for all those things that may not support our wellness. Now we need to do a 180 and take time to really integrate things that do support our wellness. So for me, and this isn't for everyone, but I've really had to develop an early morning program for myself, where I even just go for a short walk, or maybe if I don't have the time for the walk, it's just taking 20 minutes to have For me, it's a cup of coffee and to just decompress and
Yep.
have quiet time before I get everyone else up in the morning, and just acknowledge and be thankful and give thanks and have gratitude and a happy heart, and set my intention for that day for happiness and a good day, and just let all the negativity go. But I need to have that foundation in my day, and it is amazing how your day is different. I don't know about you. Do you have any sort of things that you like to do?
Yeah, I'm virtually the same. When I get up, I have to have that quiet time with my coffee, and I usually am generally doing some kind of spiritual reading or meditation, and I allow myself up to at least half an hour for that, because without it, I'm not myself.
It's amazing. And when you get into that practice, it's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you can start your day unless you brush your teeth, and you don't feel like you can start your day until you can have your practice. And so just, if we can encourage women, we do have full lives, especially if you do have a family. You have a full life, but you need to have time for yourself. And the morning, it is hard, I know, but that seems to be that sweet spot that we can carve out for ourselves, set our alarm a half hour early, whatever you need to do to take time for you to honor you. We carry a lot on our shoulders, and I'm not negating men. Men have a whole other thing going on, other pressures, but our pressures are different, and our responsibilities are different. They are equally great, equally challenging, but they're different. And we can honor that and take time to nurture ourselves. I think we've lost that woman culture a bit, and I really want to bring it back. And I think that comes from being a midwife also.
Yeah.
You know, midwife means woman with women, women helping women. And it's always been part of me. I just want us to acknowledge and honor our womanhood, and we need to be healthy. And I don't think it's always just by having drinks together. We need to find other ways as women to come together and be dynamic and strong and powerful. That doesn't always have to have alcohol. And maybe you and I will be the first ones to get out in our spaces in the world and get women doing that. And I think it'd be lovely.
I'm down for that. I am down for that, Carrie. Now, if someone is listening to this, if there's a woman out there who's going, oh my gosh, I know every single thing they're talking about. This is me. I identify with this. What's the top 3 tips you could give them right now if they want to make a change?
Well, the first tip I would give them, and this is blatant, it's not self-promotion, but I have a 10-day, it's free, women. So just go and you'll download it. It's called the 10-day reset. And you can get it at thegraydrinkingreset.com. And it's a 10-day program, and it's very gentle and easy. And in that, you will be journaling every day, and you'll be given prompts to help guide you through some of the challenges that you'll be going through, because it's not easy. I'm not here to sell you, a box of rainbows. It is challenging. It is work. It's mindfulness, but I don't think anyone has ever had a workout or gone for a walk or done yoga and regretted it. You may have to drag yourself to the gym or put those sneakers on, but no one has ever regretted it. And you will not regret taking 10 days for yourself not drinking. You will feel better. You will feel healthier. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would just like you right now to acknowledge that if you're having those thoughts, chances are you're a great drinker. And if you are, then you need to really do some thinking. Maybe the 10-day reset's not for you. Maybe you're not there yet, but it's going to come back to you. And so just know that that's okay. Today, you may not be ready, but mark my words, it's coming. If this resonates with you at all, it's because you're listening to this for a reason, and you're listening to it because you are sensing that you need to make a shift, you need to make a change, and maybe it's not alcohol. And I just want to put that out there too. Maybe it's with your food habits. Maybe it's something else that you know that you need to take a break from, and 10 days is a good way to start. And the other thing is, I want you to have conversations with your friends. Don't do this alone. So those would be my 3 things. Check out the reset. Just acknowledge if it is resonating, you probably need to do some work and you might not be ready yet, and that's so fine. But just know it's probably coming and that there are resources out there and we're here to help you. And number 3, please talk to your friends and just say, hey, listen, I was listening to this awesome podcast, and I think, like, what do you guys think? Like, why don't we have lunch next week, but let's not drink? Or, you know what, we never get together and just go for a walk, or bring the conversation to light and see what happens.
Yeah. And that's it. It starts with us. The change begins with us.
It does. It's the ethical change, right?
That's it.
All right, sister.
Yeah. Now, I know you've mentioned your website there, Carrie, but if people want to find out more about you and get in touch with you, where can they go?
Just go to carrieschell.com. Shell is spelled, it's Carrie, Shell, SCHELL.com. Well, I'm sure you'll have it in your notes for your podcast, and you can just reach out to me directly. I would love to talk to you and give you information. We're all here to help one another. So please just reach out. I also have a book coming out, and it's called The Grey Drinking Reset. And that's a more comprehensive. If you've done the 10-day and you feel like you want to do more work, this is a 30-day. And it goes really into the nuts and bolts and into more deep issues around yourself, around partners, around family, around how this has impacted kids and relationships, the whole gamut. So if you've done the 10-day and you're feeling good and you're on a good groove and you want it more, there's the 30-day. And if that, we can do work one-on-one, in group work. We have a Facebook group that you may just want to jump on there and just chat with other women. It's just all about women supporting women. So whatever works for you, we're here for you.
I reckon I could talk to you all day, Carrie, and I reckon we could change the world together.
I agree.
And before I do let you go, though, I got one last big question for you.
Okay.
What's the change you'd like to see in the world, and how can we bring it to life?
You know what I think it is for me is I really feel our women's culture has been lost. That women sense of community has been lost. And I see it also in birthing culture. We've lost that whole sense of women helping women and women being encouraging and positive with women who are pregnant and support. And I think it starts there. And I think it just permeates and it's women helping women raise their children, and through our careers and building one another up and letting egos and competition and judgment and expectation go. I just want to be that woman who, when you meet me, you feel that I saw you and that maybe I lifted you up a bit. And that's what we need to do. We need to encourage, you're beautiful physically, emotionally, spiritually. I just want to leave someone feeling a little better that day. And if we all do that, if that's our goal, as opposed to getting more likes and feeling, I don't know what it is, but we're all in this together. And I think the day is just far more beautiful when we can leave someone impacted in a small way.
Wow, and imagine the ripple effect with that. I'd just love to reflect on the change that we've discussed in every episode. And, if what you've just dreamt of there happened, wow, imagine the world we'd have.
Yeah.
Be incredible.
Let's put a challenge out there. Let's put a challenge for all your listeners. Just tomorrow, every woman that you have a conversation with, give them a compliment about anything. It could be, you know what, I love those glasses, about anything. And it is amazing, the response. So I'm putting that challenge out there to people. Just lift those women you chat with tomorrow, say something kind to them, and it comes back to you tenfold. I promise.
It's all about sharing love and the gratitude, isn't it?
It is. So thank you for sharing this with me. I feel blessed today.
Me too. And I can't thank you enough for being a part of the ethical evolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Ethical Evolution podcast. If you're ready to be the change and would love to work with me on finding your voice through spiritual coaching or creating your own podcast with impact, visit ethicalchangeagency.com.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.
Step inside the marketing mirror to uncover marketing secrets, discover gems, tactics, lessons, and campaigns you can use, next gen or fundamentals. Grab the marketing magic to improve your marketing and win more business.
Electrocast. Electrocast.